Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I am the new director of the Marcel Moyse Society. My name is David Houston. And I'm very flattered and honored and pleased to help facilitate in bringing forth the gifts and legacy that Mr. Moyse has bestowed upon us. And we're going to be very brief with my portion here because we have many things to get to afterwards. But I'd like to present Jacqueline Hofto and Captain Borst Jones, Carl Kraber, and Carl Wincenc in a performance of a movement from Cool Out Quartet. Thank you.
So the way this was explained to me before the October 1st deadline was how practicing the things from De La Sonorite will help you play this slow movement of the Cool Out Quartet. And if you don't know either this piece or the Moyse book, how many of you have never worked with this book? Did I see a show of hands? Or don't know it? Okay, so that's helpful. You know for that. Oh, let me get my glasses here. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Well, the first exercise in the Sonorite book is one of matching tones, and many teachers have had that. And he picks the note to be above the staff. And if you've played as many junky flutes as I have, that is a good note on just about every flute you can get. And the bad ones get worse from there. And I think it has something to do with the length of being the first overtone, and the length of the tube, and the distance from the cork that the embouchure hole is. And unlike string players who can move their bow closer to the bridge or closer to the fingerboard, we can't move the embouchure hole, it's stuck there. So this B comes out a great note, and the idea is it's just to get a good tone on that B and then make the next note sound exactly the same. So that from here, of course, down to the tone quality is different, but you can't say, oh, it happened right there. I know. You can do what I do with my students. I take my thumb on the white keys of the piano and I go down all the way down to the bottom note from somewhere in the middle, and the same thing happens. The tone gradually changes, and actually, if you look inside the piano, you play A440, and there's 3 strings, and you get down in the bass clef, and there's only 2 strings, and the very lowest notes, there's 1 string, so the actual mechanism that's making the sound is different. So the idea is to make the sound exactly the same, and try not to change anything. And then continue. Actually, he advocates playing it twice. I take a shortcut. And then you go all the way down to low C, or if you have a low B, I would say definitely practice with it too. And then you do 2 notes, 2 passing notes. The idea here is to, when you take the breath, come back with exactly the same tone you just left. You'll see why I'm stopping there in a minute. And then you add 3 or 4 or 6 or 8 notes. So I'm trying to get the F sharp to sound as much like the notes above it and the B. And what do we have here? The first 2 notes in the piece we just played. So on. And then after you've done the whole steps that way, till you do the whole chromatic scale in one breath, then you do whole steps. Scale, and then the other whole tone scale. And so on. So this is I use this as a warm-up exercise, just the chromatic first part of the exercise. And then you get to minor thirds. And here when you go into the low register, this is the thicker part to try and keep the sound much the same as you can. And then major third, because as far as major third. So, and then going up through. And there was one class that I was at, he explained how one of our hard problems is playing softly in the high range. And he had a great, using this exercise, he had a great way of demonstrating that. I forget who was playing. This is one of the flute classes in Vermont. And so you get to where you're doing 4 passing notes, and the 5th note is your arrival note. So what he had this person do, and it's a great exercise, start forte, do it once forte like I just did, and then start forte and drop to piano or pianissimo on that note, and then play those next notes, piano, pianissimo. I'm ready to do the next group, forte. So I'll play the E flat strong, and diminish, and then play the scale soft the second time, and crescendo in the last note, so I'm ready for the next one. Certain things. Well, you know, in a lot of the French conservatory pieces, that's part of the slow movement, was like the Gaubert Nocturne Allegro Cantato to end on a high A flat, very soft. This is a great help for that. Okay, the next thing in these books, there was something. I mean, for all that Moyse was an incredible teacher for the emotion and the meaning in the music, he was extremely methodical with these things. And he wrote all these things out. Every combination. I think which is the next one. The low register. Aha. Okay. Yes, the low register one, which is another kind of long tones. And my first teacher, long tones meant as long as I could hold it. And then I got a little older, not much better, but the idea was make a crescendo and diminuendo on that long note. So, which is a good exercise. As a 12-year-old, I found it very tedious. And I don't know, my late 20s when I finally got to Moyse. And I found this long tone exercise. These are 4 whole notes, quarter note equals 60. So already we have a melody here. And the place, the destination, it's not just, the destination is not the same note. And then we do that, we do all of these twice. And this is very helpful to do twice. And then he changes one note. So the next one is. And then, what's the next note going to be? And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these patterns with whole notes. Then we have 6 more that are dotted halves. And then we have 6 more that are half notes like this. So we're making the crescendo twice as fast. From piano, he just has nothing contemporary, 5 P's and 5 F's, just from pianissimo to fortissimo. And then quarter notes. And eighth notes gets really hard. I always advise doing it a little slower. And this great exercise. And when you do this, the middle register, as you do this, is so much easier. And it doesn't hurt. And there's one passage, if we have time to play the slow movement again, we'll do. But one passage in the Kulau that the second flute plays the bass line. It goes like this. And I sort of think that maybe this would be the right place to apply that Moyse thing. So we'll try that before we play that. Okay, so after I've been doing this for about 12 years, it takes about 10 minutes. And you do, even if you only do 6 weeks, that's an hour a week. So you've done 300 hours in a year. So after about 10 years, Moyse said to me, "Kraber, you have such a good low register." And I said, "No, Maestro, I've been 10 years I've been playing your exercise. It works. It really does." And then the next one is the tonguing exercise. I don't know, but my first teachers had me do tonguing exercises. And I've come to realize that there are lots of different places you can put your tongue. And I have a Your friend, you played a couple. You can get in a lot of trouble with it. Somebody was saying, somebody just met somebody. Not all flute players have a sense of humor, but it really helps. I think part of it comes from, don't hit me, I'll make you laugh first. So, I was taught to tongue, let's say my fingers are my teeth, and you're looking sideways at me like this. I was taught to put my tongue there. And then I met a guy I admire tremendously, Bob Stallman. If any of you were at the Mozart this afternoon, he did that transcription. Great, he studied with Papatsakis, who was a Laurent student in Boston Symphony, who was a student of Tafanel. And so this is the end of your teeth, there's the gum line, and then there's that lump there, which is called the hard palate, and that's where he puts his tongue. And I haven't heard anybody articulate better than him. So I come to the conclusion, it doesn't really matter where you put your tongue. But Moyse advocates in this book, I never heard of it before, between the teeth, and certain things. That kind of, or, and it's great. It's great for the low. I think what it does for me is, having the tongue out, it opens up my throat and my mouth more. I think that's what the help is. I mean, somebody did say, the idea is to have your lips at just the right place to make the sound, but to try and have the inside of your mouth a little more open. And that's what that does. And I found that tremendously helpful. That kind of thing. Right? Really helpful when you practice that. And you just have to listen. And it's probably more than where the tongue is that the lips are exactly set for the amount of air, the speed and the pressure of the air you're supplying. So Moyse takes, again, for this exercise, he takes a note in the middle of the flute maker's flute. I'm starting with students with this, and I want to take a note that speaks really easily. So I always start people with high D. Because you don't have to fuss around a lot. So what he does first is with your tongue out, you take the D, then you play the note next to it above. Next higher. Okay, so up to however high as you want to go, and down. And then that's the first step. So today's note is D. I would do one note a day. He's got it all organized. And he's got it all written out. He's written it out as slurred triplets, but you take the notes separate. And then the next step is to slur that today's note to every other note on the flute. First, with 3 octaves, we've played 36 notes. We've done an attack with all 36 notes. So then we play attack D 36 times as we slur to every other note. And here, for practice, it's great if you can use a trill finger, because then you don't mess up. Your air doesn't get any contagious tension from your fingers. So if you do the trill key, you're less likely to do that. So what this amounts to is a quarter slur to an eighth. And I try to think of it as we're playing a diminuendo over a dotted quarter note. And 2/3 of the way through that diminuendo, we're changing notes. So as the distance between the two notes gets greater, our lips have to do a little more work. So. And no matter where you're slurring to, or how loud or soft you're going to end up, you want to keep the attack on the D exactly the same. So it's, and this is especially hard if you're doing some big leaps like that. And then, so we attack. Now I've attacked D 36 times, slurring to all the other notes. And now I attack the other notes, and I slur back to the D. So, and then from underneath. So that's great. So So at the end of one day, I've made 36 times 4. I've made, what is that, 72, 144 attacks. So in 10 days, I've made 1,440 attacks. Okay, and in 3 months, I've made 14,000 attacks. That adds up. And the thing that I find wonderfully helpful about this exercise, even though we're practicing this forte, it helps. It helps in the soft attack. It's just a terrific exercise. And you've been prepared for the low register in trying to loosen up your throat so that you can pay attention to that. Okay, so that's he calls it the attack and slurring of notes, and it's just a terrific exercise. The next one is one I've never seen him do, and that's crescendo on one note. So he's got 4 whole notes here. And the first one we play piano to pianissimo to piano,